Hello everyone. So welcome to week 2 of Introduction to Algebra. As you've seen, the assignments for the entire week are going to be posted on Google Classroom all at once so that you can work through at your own pace. So what you want to make sure that you've got, just following the instructions, make sure you have your notes packet out as we're going through it so that you're ready to take notes along with the videos. Then you'll do the homework from the textbook, check your answers, and if everything's going well, upload the presentation. There are no mandatory meetings this week. If you want to sign up for a one-on-one meeting or tutoring because you're confused about something on Google Classroom or you're confused about something from the lessons, please don't hesitate to just grab one of those slots. But if you're feeling confident and you're getting your homework and check-in problems correct, you're probably good to go for this week. So let's get started. We're going to do a lot of vocabulary today. We're going to get started talking about the properties of operations. So before we get started with all the vocabulary, let's talk about what the operations are. Operations are just things you can do with numbers. So if you think about the order of operations, as maybe where you've heard this word before, is parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, PEMDAS. Operations are those things. Multiplication is an operation. And the properties are their characteristics, the rules that they follow. So we've got a lot going on here. So we have the first one is the associative properties. And we will always start with what are called the general forms, which are the equations using variables. So if an assignment asks for a general form, they're looking for it with only variables, such as the general form or the general statement of the area of a triangle would be A equals 1/2 base times height, or BH. What the associative properties we see here, we see that A plus B plus C with these parentheses is the same as if the parentheses are here, and same with multiplication. So what does that mean? It means that you can group addition and multiplication problems however you want without changing the final answer. This might be a good time to remind you, you can pause these videos at any time if you feel like you're falling behind and keeping up with the writing. So we've got our associative properties. We also then have the commutative properties. We've got A plus B is equal to B plus A, and AB is equal to BA as our general forms. And what this means is that the order doesn't matter. You can order addition and multiplication problems however you want without changing the final answer. Now you'll notice these are only true for addition and multiplication, because they are not true for subtraction or division. 7 minus 2 is not the same as 2 minus 7, for example. All right, moving on, we have identity properties. Now, identity in mathematics means that something doesn't change. And if it helps you remember that, your identity is something that doesn't change. Like who you are doesn't change, whether you're in school or whether you're at home or whether you're at the grocery store, whatever's happening to you, you're still who you are. And in terms of math, there's a couple things that don't change what the term is, such as adding 0, A plus 0 equals A, or multiplying by 1, A times 1 is still equal to A. So we use this a lot in our solving in terms of canceling out. The other one we use a lot in solving and canceling out are inverses. Now what you might remember from earlier is that inverses are opposites in math. And the thing that's the opposite is often the thing that cancels something out. So for example, if I'm looking here, A minus A equals 0. They're canceled, right? The A term isn't there anymore. Same with A divided by A is equal to 1. So what does that mean? It means that by subtracting a number from itself or dividing by itself, the term disappears. And this idea of how you can cancel out a term obviously is very, very helpful in terms of solving, where our goal is often to cancel out those terms. We've got a few more operations here that are specific to a general number. So we've got our multiplication property of 0. This is one you've seen for a while now, is that anything times 0 equals 0. This one feels pretty familiar from past years. There are also division properties of 0, and there's 2 of them. And you'll notice the difference. One is where 0 is in the top of the division problem, the numerator, and one where 0 is in the denominator. So I'm going to draw a line in between these two because they're very different, right? What this first one means is that 0 divided by anything is equal to 0. On the other hand, anything divided by 0 equals DNE. This stands for does not exist. One helpful way that I have students remember this is that if 0 is in the denominator, right, that's the bottom of the fraction, if 0 is in the denominator, it does not exist. So they sound pretty similar. So you can't divide by 0. If you try on your calculator, you're going to get an error. If you try it by hand, you're going to end up with really weird things happening in your equation. You cannot divide by 0. Our last one here is the distributive property, which you've been using before. You often see this illustrated as A times B plus C and drawing in arrows to distribute, and then we get A is multiplying by the B and the A is multiplying by the C, and the parentheses are gone. And what that means is that multiplication, we could say this carries over, means that it affects everything inside the parentheses. Now there's one more property that I want you to look at, and this is going to be the presentation for your homework. All right, so your homework is going to be on page 769, numbers 9 through 25 odd, and then your presentation is going to create another one of these entries for the last property that you're going to be learning about, which is called the transitive property. There are 2 parts to each entry. There's the general form, so write it out in its form with the variables, which you'll be able to find. And then what does it mean? State what it means in your own words. Use complete sentences and don't just copy from the book. Try to phrase it in a way that makes the most sense to you. Again, you can go back, pause, rewind, whatever you need if you missed any of the notes. If you're still confused, please grab one of the tutoring slots and I will be happy to meet with you throughout the week. Have an absolutely wonderful day and I'll talk to you later.